Kristen Blessman. I'm with the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce. I'm the president and CEO, and the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce has been around for over 30 years, founded in 1983. The Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce seeks to put Colorado on the map for the state in the nation to advance women in business. And we do that by providing programs to get women to their highest level of success in roles like CEO on publicly traded boards and help them grow their own business. My entrepreneurial journey is very different than I think most people's. I think when I meet an entrepreneur, like a true entrepreneur, I don't see myself in that person. I think what found me is working in nonprofits and really wanting to change the world. And that's where I found my entrepreneurial journey. So I got hooked on working in nonprofits very early on in my career, and bigger ones, which was great because I really love business, but I like business that drives change. And so I think that I became more risk averse and more wanting to lead an organization and create change. And that's what drew me to be an entrepreneur and lead an organization. I found my way to the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce by working in nonprofits and providing change. So I always say that I didn't work in a nonprofit because I had a bleeding heart. I work in a nonprofit because there's so many in Colorado, and I just wound up leading in those, but nonprofit really found me. And so I didn't grow up in the best environment. At times it was pretty much a struggle. I grew up in a very loving environment, but my dad struggled with addiction and alcoholism, and my mom struggled as a result, and we lived in poverty. And I had found that working in a nonprofit, I somehow figured out how to navigate using my life skills and what I learned growing up to really get passionate about creating change. And so working in Goodwill, I saw so many people create change in their lives through work and through business. That's what Goodwill does. They give employment opportunities to people who struggle. And I saw a change happen right before me as a result of that nonprofit. And because that nonprofit made quite a bit of money in retail, they were able to change people's lives. And it was the CEO at Goodwill, when I was the chief marketing officer, that said, I think you could be a CEO someday. And it's funny because as a single mom, I'd just gotten divorced. I was like, there's no way that I can do what you do. And he said, but you already do. You help me lead this organization and you create change every day. And the opportunity at the Colorado Women's Chamber popped up, and I thought, that really is appealing to me because there's so much change needed in corporate systems for women. And so I was super drawn to it and very passionate about helping to create that change. Like most women, I didn't think that I would get the job, but I threw my hat in the ring anyway, and I got it, and I haven't looked back since. I inspire vision the only way I know how, and it's what inspires me. If you want people to follow you and follow a vision, it has to matter to them, and you have to make it matter to them. It has to tap into the things that they care about. And I think that when I hire employees or when we recruit members, I make sure that they're passionate about not just lifting themselves up as a woman, but lifting others up. When we're recruiting employees, I ask them what they're passionate about, what their journey has been. If you understand someone's journey and what they've been through and what's brought them to you, it's easy to inspire vision. And the vision at the Colorado Women's Chamber is to help advance women in business. And it's not just women that are drawn to that. A lot of men want to see systematic change for their organizations too. So, I think that vision's pretty easy to sell and pretty easy to roadmap out. Our vision for the next 5 years is to get 100 women-owned businesses over $1 million in revenue, because less than 1% in Colorado actually hit that goal. And we want to get 100 women into the highest levels of leadership in their organization. And that could mean VP, CEO, serving on a publicly traded board. We want to see that happen in 5 years. And who doesn't want to see that happen? Men and women alike. It needs to change. The systems need to change, because when they do, corporations are more successful, our economy is more successful, more money is made, households change, our kids' futures change, and they see more potential and possibility. And I just don't know anybody that doesn't resonate with. So I feel lucky. It's an easy vision to sell and to get people on board with. The person that I admire as a titan of industry is Jamie Zalman, the president and CEO of Titan 100, because I know her personally and I've seen what she's gone through and I've seen how she's had to pave the way for herself in a very male-dominated industry. And I don't think I've admired anyone more for doing what she's done. It's pretty phenomenal, starting what she started and doing what she's doing. And I feel like this is changing, right? Giving people the opportunity to share their story and share stories of how we persevere and how we change organizations and how we pave a path for people is a gift. And I really admire her for doing that. The best piece of business advice that I've ever received and that's helped me throughout my career was from a coworker. Actually, I was thinking of applying for another job when I worked in higher education, and I wasn't gonna go for it. I think I got turned down. I didn't get called for an interview. And he said, Kristen, you have to reapply. You have to keep applying. You have to email him. You have to email the hiring manager because I know you're perfect for this job. He said, you're comfortable right now. This is too easy for you. You're not challenged. And the minute that we feel comfortable, it's time to go. And I have always found that to be true, right? In my role as Chief Marketing Officer at Goodwill, I had thought originally that that was what I had set my sights on, right? I got my MBA in marketing, and that was the highest level of marketing that I could achieve. And then all of a sudden, I was kind of bored, right? I had done it all. I had developed people to do the work. I had developed people to do business development. I had developed people to do the marketing. And I was kind of sitting there with my hands up in the air going, okay, wait a minute, what? Like, I don't have anything to do anymore. I'm kind of bored. And when this CEO opportunity came up, I thought, I got to go for it because it's time. I'm comfortable. And when I took this role, I called my mentor and I said, hey, I got this job. And she said, that's great. What are you going to do next? And I've always appreciated that because it's when you get those uncomfortable feelings that it's time to make some change. What I wish I would have known years ago, I grew up feeling very ashamed of where I came from, right? I was always embarrassed to invite friends over because there was so much chaos in my household. And, like I said, my dad struggled with addiction, but my family was so loving and people were actually drawn to it. But still, I was always very embarrassed of my path or my journey and felt like somehow I was lesser than. And I didn't even really realize until I became the president of the Women's Chamber that journey and path and all of those experiences that I had growing up navigating chaos has brought me to where I am today and made me an incredibly strong leader. I had to pivot and turn the Women's Chamber around, and I absolutely 100% would not have been able to do that had I not gained those skills growing up. And oftentimes I don't think in the workplace we learn how to appreciate people's journeys and allow them to share. I always joke about like, well, what if I was in an interview and somebody said, so tell me about yourself. And I said, well, I grew up in an alcoholic family with, 6 kids and it was crazy. I'm not suggesting that we do that, but I don't think that we need to be ashamed of where we've come from or our experiences or the fact that I'm a single mom or that I'm divorced and I came out of a pretty rough marriage to get to where I am, because it's made me an incredibly strong leader. I know how to pivot. I know how to do turnaround, right? Not every CEO does that and does it well and navigates it with grace, and I am completely comfortable and own that environment. And had I not gone through what I went through as a child, I don't think I'd be the same at it. I think to be a titan of industry, what I've learned from meeting my classmates and alumni is I've never seen a more innovative, persevering group of individuals in my life, and so unapologetically who they are. And I think that is hard sometimes as a leader, right? I think we all get pretty self-critical, or we can compare, right? CEOs get a lot of attention and you're like, oh, well, why can't I be like, Jamie Dimon, or why can't I be like this? What I've noticed with this group is each one of them brings something very different to the organizations that they lead. And it's like that role was built for them. And so they're trailblazers, innovators. They know how to persevere, and there's really nobody else quite like them. So they are authentically themselves in a way that I don't think I've seen